Monster Hunter Wilds introduces a whole new mount system which goes far beyond anything the Palamute ever did in Rise. The Seikret, a rideable mount and essential element of travel, is a monster akin to something like a raptor if he had friends and any sense of loyalty. If you're a Final Fantasy fan, you can think of the Seikret as this world's chocobo. And design-wise, I actually love this thing. It obviously took some heavy inspiration from the Archaeopteryx, which is an ancient animal believed to be the link between dinosaurs and birds, and as the owner of a parrot who still believes she very much is a dinosaur, I am all about this aesthetic. On the official Monster Hunter Wilds website, Capcom said the Seikret is an essential companion for traversing the wilds. The Seikret is an animal mount whose exceptional agility will provide the hunter with crucial support out on hunts. Its well-developed sense of smell allows it to guide you automatically to your current objective or any location you select on the map. You can also use your slinger and certain kinds of items while mounted, allowing you to comfortably restore your health, sharpen your weapon, or even gather materials while on the move. Your Seikret isn't just for travel though. You can also stash an extra weapon in its weapon sling, allowing you to switch between two main weapons of your choice while out on hunts. So that's all well and good, but let's delve into it just a little bit deeper. Taking a close look at its design, we can get an idea of what to expect. Our Seikret is equipped with a bridle and saddle, a bag that appears to hold some items, a bedroll for our camp, and a sling for our secondary weapon. Now, Capcom has already confirmed that we get a second weapon and that we can make camps throughout the locales, both of which I'll cover in separate videos. But one thing they haven't confirmed is that item pouch on the opposite side of the weapon sling. Now, I could definitely just be reading into things, but I wonder if they would give us the ability to take extra items with us. Ever since World, it hasn't been uncommon to travel back to your camp to restock, and given this game's emphasis on immersion and staying in the field, I don't think it's beyond the realm of possibility. Another option may be that it serves as either an ammo pouch, or as the pouch for whatever items are required to set up your individual camps. Or, it's just a design decision and means absolutely nothing. Who's to say? Another interesting thing is that even though it likely has teeth, it's completely devoid of the rear claws or sharp beak one would expect from something that would actually be engaging in combat. That, combined with the lack of weapons like the Palamute carried, lead me to believe that it's completely incapable of attacking on its own, at least gameplay-wise. More likely, it's only the hunter that can perform mounted attacks, and we won't get anything like kicking from the Seikret. Which, speaking of mounted attacks, is a feature that's also confirmed. Don't worry though, you're not going to be able to cheese your way through the battles on the back of your Seikret. Developers have confirmed that weapons are designed to deal damage on the ground, and that mounted attacks and actions are primarily used for luring monsters and to accent certain situations. That being said, we do get the ability to both heal and sharpen while mounted, which I've honestly got some mixed feelings about. In games previous to Rise, and especially previous to World, doing either while in combat could be incredibly dangerous. Positioning and timing were really important, as was health and sharpness management. This attention to the flow of combat and more deliberate moves was something that set Monster Hunter apart from its more action-oriented boss fighter counterparts. And it's just that sort of thing that has been gradually changed or removed from the more recent titles in favor of more seamless action. Though it's definitely personal opinion, I just don't want to see them take it too far. I hope there's some sort of drawback to doing those actions on Seikret, such as them not healing or sharpening as much, or maybe it's taking longer since you're bouncing around on the back of a giant bird that's running. Just something to that effect. That's a topic that likely deserves a video all of its own and has had the community divided ever since World came out, so feel free to let me know in the comments how you're feeling about it. Maybe I'll delve more into that in the future. But moving on, we know Seikret is going to be customizable, though we don't know exactly to what extent. The developers have said that it will have customizable feather colors to make it distinct from others in the field, but I really hope we're able to change its saddle and other equipment just like we were able to do with Palicos and Palamutes. I cannot be the only one on here who wants to ride a Seikret in full plate mail to go with my lance. Don't let me down, Capcom. Which, speaking of things I want that clearly and obviously matter, can we please get the ability to pet or feed the Seikret? I could pet my Palamute. I should be able to pet my Seikret. Do you think it plays fetch? But in regards to things you can do, you can ride your mount in the village, which is new. Someone watching the demo event even mentioned using Seikret to climb out of an alternate exit than the village gates, gliding down to another section of the map. Do you think it just follows behind us if we're not riding it, or will there be stables in the main village? I wonder. There's a lot of option there. But with regards to general map travel and tracking monsters, the Seikret can autopilot with limited dodging ability. Tracking monsters involves following what they call a Scoutfly waypoint. You can simply bring up your map, click on a monster, and your Seikret will autopilot you there. And it's actually interesting that they're including the Scoutflies in this one, as they specifically mention your Seikret can track with its incredible sense of smell. Still, I suppose the Scoutflies serve as a great visual indicator for a lot of things, so I can't really complain. They haven't expanded too much on auto-dodging, but it does sound like it's really just for this type of travel and won't be a sort of game-breaking mechanic. More a quality of life thing so you can attend to other tasks while you travel, such as gathering items, which you can do via your hookslinger, organizing your inventory, reviewing quests, focusing on luring and environmental traps, etc. It's also important to note here that you can just manually drive your Seikret around. You don't have to just use the autopilot feature. It is more along the lines of your Palamute from Rise than it is the Tail Riders from World. So feel free to just hop on Seikret and drive yourself. On to combat, and as I mentioned in my video specifically breaking down what we know about weapons in combat so far, mounting damage does exist, and the hunter can perform a dismount attack while leaping off the Seikret in order to deal mounting damage. That's a topic I delve into a little bit more in the mentioned video, so if you're curious about it, be sure to check it out. It's been said that the environments in this one are huge, with each locale being 2 to 3 times the size of previous games. And also, for the most part, seamless and interconnected, so you can expect that area you can travel in to just be massive. Seikret is going to be extremely important in navigating these larger environments, not only because it moves so much faster than traveling on foot, but because it can also climb, jump, and glide over certain areas of the world that would otherwise be impassable to just your hunter. The maps are said to include lots of verticality, and so far we have no confirmation of being able to climb ourselves like we can in Rise, which if you started with Rise, has not previously been a thing. If anything, I'm really doubtful that they would give us that ability in this game, and we're more likely getting the more grounded style that World has, where you can only climb ivy and certain vines, things like that. And even when on Seikret, I'm skeptical they would give us the same freedom of movement that we had in Rise. Another important aspect of Seikret is going to be the new luring mechanic. Luring alpha monsters is said to be a large part of gameplay, as are herd monsters in general. Seikret allows not only the swift movement to lure monsters, but also the use of the slinger while traveling, which will be important for the environmental hazards and traps used to separate those monsters. We also have seen the hunter going through a herd of Balahara, those sandworm-like monsters. At least from what we've seen, I feel like the overall speed of travel of the monsters has been increased, and I can just imagine trying to outrun a whole herd of them on foot. There's also a new herd-related mechanic they're calling swarming, but they haven't really covered exactly what it is yet. But that is all the Seikret secrets I have for you right now. I, for one, am super excited about my little raptor boy. It's sure to be a big change to the series, and one that I'm sure will be at least somewhat divisive, which honestly is the case for any new mechanics that we get in Monster Hunter, which is every generation. But I've digressed. One last thing I want to touch on is that I've got both a new Twitter and a new TikTok. I'll drop the links to both in the description, so be sure to check them out. Currently, my TikTok only has a few videos and has been more geared towards Armored Core, but I've got big plans for Monster Hunter content as well. And honestly, about the only gaming TikToks I've seen so far has been a plethora of Elden Ring content, so if you're looking for something else, I hope you'll give it a follow, and maybe I'll throw Elden Ring in there at some point as well. As always, thanks for tuning in, and don't forget to follow for more Monster Hunter Wilds discussion, Armored Core content, and you can always support the channel by becoming a member. Until then, I will see you next time.